Hello everyone, I'm MiniFC and this is Blue Lines TV, and today I'm bringing you a news daily video. Now, there's three stories to talk about in today's video. That is Alvaro Morata's interview, that's linked with Gulam, and that's also linked with Kieran Tierney from Celtic. Now, starting with the first story, which is Alvaro Morata. Now, he did have an interview with La Gazzetta dello, an Italian newspaper. In it, the interviewee asked him questions such as, obviously, how he's finding Chelsea, his time at Juventus, for example. And Morata had, a few telling things to say. His first thing was that he does miss Italy. First of all, he enjoyed his time at Juventus. He regretted leaving at the time because when he returned to Real Madrid, he felt like they still saw him as the same player that left 2 years before he joined Real Madrid. And in a way, I completely understand where he's coming from. He said in a way that when he went to Milan, obviously it helped him grow as a man and as a player, also the environment at the club, and it really helped him with his development. He was asked about his time at Chelsea, and he did say that he finds London a very fascinating city. He said that he liked how, every religion and how multi-ethnic it was, and how everyone just kind of, blends together, and it's just like a normal way of life. But he was saying in regards to London, it's too much like a metropolis. He was saying that when he was at Italy, that's probably the best environment for a Spanish player, with the foods, the culture, the weather, the art, the fashion. He liked that type of lifestyle, but with London, everything's a bit too hustle and bustle. And at this moment in time, he's actually staying in Chelsea. And of course, some things were said, the press, a lot of, actually can I even say press, a lot of news and social media outlets, then also websites kind of misconstrued everything Morata was saying, and they changed it. So every headline Chelsea fans were reading and waking up to was the fact that, Morata isn't planning on staying at Chelsea, he's planning his move away already, which wasn't the case at all. And it's a shame sometimes how these stories are manipulated, but at the same time I understand why they use these clickbait titles, because obviously they need to make money. They know that if it's a controversial headline, people will click on it to read it, and that's how they get their money. But Morata's words were definitely misconstrued, and you got to see it like this. For example, with me, I like pizza, I like Chinese food, but if I was offered one of the choice to eat forever, I'd probably pick Chinese food. But doesn't mean I don't like pizza. And I kind of feel that was what Morata was coming across in this interview. Of course, he prefers a more slower kind of lifestyle, a more for example, like a more countryside type of scene, a more relaxed type of vibe. And also, when you live in a city, it is very hustle and bustle. Everything's really fast, there's a lot of people everywhere, and Morata isn't necessarily thinking of that, and it's not really his ideal situation. At the same time, he was just saying that he does like London, but he probably prefers something different. Now, just London isn't England. We do keep forgetting that sometimes. And also, players don't just live by the stadium, if that's what anyone's thinking. For example, he could go to Surrey, which would probably suit his lifestyle a bit more. Obviously he's married to his new wife, an Italian model, and he just wants to enjoy his life a bit. He's thinking about the future, obviously family, stuff like that. What kind of scene will be better for his future family? So I think, let's be serious, he's just moved to London recently from Real Madrid. He won't be staying there forever. A lot of players that signed, for example, I remember Michael Ballack. I remember famously he was saying that, how ridiculous prices were in London, how expensive rent was, and he was actually staying in a hotel for the first few months when he first joined Chelsea before he actually found a home somewhere. So I think it's going to be the same thing for Alvaro Morata. Another thing as well, you guys, is that probably what I took from this as well was that Morata probably isn't planning on staying in London forever. Of course, we have to accept that, football is a job, and playing for Chelsea is a massive career opportunity, especially for Alvaro Morata. So he is grateful to play here. He's happy to be here. Of course, he wants to give his all and do his best, because football is a ruthless business. If he doesn't perform, we could easily sign a new striker the next day. So I don't think that, when we sign players, they don't have to love, the club, don't support them. For example, how many players probably support random teams like Morecambe and teams in like remote teams in South America and stuff like that? Of course, they don't want to play for them, because in terms of their career, it's not going to do anything for them. It doesn't mean they don't support them. And a lot of players that sign for Chelsea, it's probably the same thing for them as well. Of course, coming here, they're happy to be here. It's a fantastic club. Of great tradition, great history as well. And I just think with Alvaro Morata, I think some of these news corporations, some of these websites, these social media blogs have really taken things out of context and just really flipped it. So I think it's quite unfair. Now, moving on to the next story, and that is Gulam from Napoli. Now, we all know that he hasn't signed a new contract with Napoli at this moment in time, but there's been conflicting reports in regards to whether he's agreed new terms or whether he's rejected them. Now, allegedly, it's been reported by CM that we are the favourites to sign Gulam, and thinking about it, you could use some logical sense here. That does make quite a bit of sense. Now, you look at a lot of the top teams in Europe, they have that position sorted already. He's leaving on a free. If Chelsea are linked with him, that's a fantastic career move and fantastic career opportunity for Gulam. But the conflicting reports on regards to whether he's agreed a new 3.5-year contract with Napoli or not. Now, allegedly, Gulam wants $3.5 million per year, which Napoli aren't really wanting to pay at this moment in time. There are reports from an Algerian newspaper that he agreed it in January, which is completely wrong. But it looks like, as it was stated by Mario Rui, who is a Portuguese left back playing for Napoli, his agent was stating that he hasn't agreed terms, and if he was going to stay at Napoli, he would have agreed a contract by now. Now, of course, in January, that's when he can sign a pre-agreement with any club that's interested. Now, there have been strong reports that Liverpool are a rival for him, but if I'm Gulam, who are you willing to sign for, Liverpool or Chelsea? Really, it's not even really a competition in that regard. So I expect to hear more on the story coming out later on during the year, especially around December time, January. We're going to hear a lot of reports. I wouldn't be surprised if a pre-contract agreement was agreed for Gulam. And honestly, I think he'd be a fantastic addition to the team. He's an upgrade to Alonso. And what do I mean by an upgrade to Alonso? Well, number one, he's perfect from playing out from the back. He's adept at receiving the ball under pressure and being composed. Obviously, he can receive it in midfield or deeper. Another great thing I like is that he's a direct threat. He can beat a man or two. Great close control, great skill, and great delivery as well. He's been one of the most consistent and top performing left backs in Serie A. Moving on to the last story of this News Daily video, and that is Kieran Tierney from Celtic. Now, he has signed a new 6-year deal with Celtic today, which means nothing. Of course, Celtic want him to sign that because they know that he'll probably leave in the future. But with such a big contract, that means they can command more money. Now with Tierney, Chelsea have sent scouts to watch him play against Kilmarnock. You know, we do that quite a lot, that's what clubs do. But of course, if we're scouting a player, that means we're looking at potential options. And if anything, what this story really tells me is that Chelsea are looking at left wing back possibilities and options. Now, Kieran Tierney is adept at playing as a left wing back, of course, playing for Brendan Rodgers in the style of football they play, a possession-based, high-pressing style of football. He's really grown accustomed to that role and he's really become a standout for Celtic. A lot of clubs have shown interest in him, and it's no surprise to me that Chelsea are going to look at him as well. Tierney is great at driving the ball forward. His final ball delivery can be kind of inconsistent, but he is only 20 years old. But when it comes to one-on-one defending, that's actually a standout of his, and he's actually had great performances as a left back in the Champions League. Still though, in my opinion, do I think we need him? Honestly, I don't really think we do. We have another great prospect at this club called Jada Silva, who's actually been doing really well at Charlton since he's broken to the first team. The rumours surrounding whether he can compete in men's football have been disproven because playing in League One is very physical and he's been adept at that, his delivery. And also I think he makes sense as our future left wing back. I mean, the guy has played all across the left hand sides. He's great at collecting the ball and receiving it under pressure. He can play in midfield. Even for the youth team, he was playing as a midfielder and a cam at times when he had to. Great delivery as well, great dribbling ability, and he's got this Ashley Cole-like tenacity in the tackle that I really like. Now, I don't understand this thing about him not being big enough. That really annoys me. If you think about it, if you have a fullback, surely if they're a bit smaller, that's better, because with that low centre of gravity, that means they can keep up with wingers and inside forwards and actually stay with them. And really, when has height really affected fullbacks? I mean, Ashley Cole was only 5'7", he wasn't that big. Roberto Carlos, Marcelo isn't the biggest guy. Of course he's young, but in the next 3 or 4 years he's going to bulk up and get even bigger. And I feel that if we were to sign Tierney for crazy money, it's just going to be a disservice to the youth academy. It might be a bit cynical, but he is playing for Celtic. They're playing against very weak opposition. The SPL isn't as strong as it used to be when Celtic and Rangers were the two main rivals. And I think that even though he's performing well there, that doesn't necessarily mean that he can cope and play for a team like Chelsea, especially if Chelsea are going to overlook Jadon Silva, who I feel is one of the top left backs in the country, for a guy that's just playing in a Scottish league which is like the equivalent of like League One football. Anyway, you guys, that's going to end today's News Daily video. I hope you liked. Please like, comment and subscribe. And also, if you haven't, it takes a few seconds. By the subscription tab, you'll see a bell notification sign. Click on that and stay notified to everything Blue Lions TV. I'm the NEFC. This is Blue Lions TV. Signing out.